So today I'm going to take you on a little tour of Verbier Bike Park in Switzerland. I am going to do some audio over this for a couple of reasons. One, so that I can remember several years from now. Two, if you put this on your bucket list, this may become helpful if you travel to Verbier. And three, my girls watched these videos and said some of the trails, especially this first one, made them dizzy. And I have a hunch that having some subtitles going might alleviate some of that. I'm using a GoPro handlebar mount, and I love it because it makes it look like what it feels like to ride these trails. But it's not as steady as if you use a chest or a helmet cam. But that's the way it is. So this first trail, we were dropping into Sanel, which is French for caterpillar, and you'll see why. There are a ton of twists and turns, about a 5-minute trail. This is the only one on the mountain labeled as a green trail. And green basically means you can be safe at any skill level. The faster you go, you can get into a little trouble anywhere, but this is just fun. All the way at the top of the mountain. So if you want to get there, you would start from Verbier and take a lift and try and go all the way up to La Chaux. And you'll ride down, and there's another little lift that can bring you right back to the top of this trail. So if you wanted to ride it, you could probably get in 3 runs, maybe 4 in an hour if you wanted to. And there were several times we did ride it repeatedly. This is the first run of day 2, so I'm still a little cold and not warmed up, and it's actually chilly outside despite the sun. We went in early September, which is a great time of year. You've got good chances of being dry, and it's kind of after tourist season. I did check. There were some races at Verbier, I think the week before we went, and a European downhill race the week after we went. I'm sure other trails would be fine, but there would be a lot more traffic on the mountain, especially with some of the downhill courses. So you might want to check that if you booked a trip there. So this one, Sanel, just lots of switchbacks, beautiful flow, a couple little places where you can jump, but not much in the way of jumping. And you saw Jason and Rich drop me pretty early. I still struggled with these corners. I'm not fully sure why I have trouble getting through it. I have a couple suspicions. One, I struggle a little bit with my suspension. I don't have the greatest setup on this bike that I'm riding. It's a older Specialized. It's a really good bike, but a new front fork would be nice, especially for this end of the season where there's a lot of brake bumps. Not bad chunky, but enough to where I noticed it a lot. And number 2, I'm riding a bike that's a little bit larger than I'm comfortable with. And number 3, if you see Rich's face there, he had a pretty real fall on the first run of the first day, and that scared me. So my goal was just to not get hurt. We did this ride on the way to a conference, and I knew we'd have a lot of rides ahead if I could stay on the bike and not get injured. And so that was really one of my goals, is to just have fun and stay intact. So I read on the website that somewhere in the background, I think off this straight direction here, is Mont Blanc, the highest point in France. So Verbier is on the French side of Switzerland. Switzerland has 2 big language regions, Swiss German and French. So this is the French side, a little closer to France and closer to Geneva. The way we got here, because that's always a saga in itself, traveling internationally with bikes can be a challenge. Each of the 3 of us have the 3 major brands of bike bags, and they all worked great. I think Jason had an Evoque bag. His was awesome. It had a little tricycle wheel on the front, but it was heavier, so he had to take more components off his bike to fit under weight. Rich has a, oh mercy, what is the name of that brand? It starts with a T, and it's the really popular one made in Sweden, I believe. And then I have a Dakine bag. Mine's probably the cheapest, but it's also the easiest to pack. None of them are cheap, but putting your bike in a strong bag to get across the world is really helpful. You can take it apart and not have things damaged. I had to remove rotors and pedals and my chain, and that got me under airline weight, which was great. So that was step one, is just being able to carry the bikes over. Step two is getting to the place. I kind of looked at different options, and some of the Delta affiliates are really funny with how you can travel. And so that'd be like Air France, Lufthansa. A lot of them only allow you one checked bag now, and you have to pay extra for a bicycle. So we flew Emirates, went through Dubai, and that was great. It gave us no issues with getting the bike there. Flew into Geneva, and then took a train to Martigny, and changed in Martigny to a kind of more mountain train with tons of room for bicycles, which was awesome. Some of the express trains is a little tricky to get space. Even if your bike's in a bag, it's tricky to get space. But we went up to Martigny, and then we stayed in a little town that actually is off in the distance here called Le Chable, and took the lifts up every day. So right here we're in a trail called La Rodze. Amazing. This is the legendary jump line of Verbier. I'll get a little off the ground on some of these. They recommend that you be wearing knee pads and elbow pads and full body armor and full face mask, and ideally be riding a downhill bike. I am on an enduro without great suspension and without huge protective gear, so I'm taking it pretty easy. This is also my first time riding anything at this level. It's just amazing, but as you can tell, I'm a little nervous. But it's so well built. There's great flow. This is the kind of flying section that you'll see on videos if you search Verbier. Just beautiful, beautiful downhill. And I love these tabletops because you can practice without a whole lot of consequence. So if you were to do this as a full send, you would want to have your gear and be following a local to get really pace right. Speed is a big deal going into jumps. How fast are you going to go, and what angle do you need to be at? Most of them are pretty visible, but there's some kind of blind landings, and if you don't really know the trail, I don't recommend going off a blind landing ever. So I think that was a pause there because I had something either off with a GoPro or with my lockout. What's great about this park, what I really enjoyed, is just these massive sweeping berms. But there would be there's a lot of speed, and then also after a few berms, there's going to be a traverse, so you get to lay off the brakes a little bit. And the more I rode it, the better I got. Here's what this traverse is. The better I got about timing of braking. You really want to be going fast, brake hard into the corner, and roll out of it. And I never got it completely down, but I probably rode thousands of these big switchback berms over the course of a few days, which is pretty amazing. Just beautiful terrain. And it's funny looking at these videos. They're just spectacular. When you're riding, you don't see much of the view. You see it when you're going up on the lifts, and it's stunning. You see it at the top of the trail. But when you're riding, you're really just looking 10 feet ahead, trying to keep your eyes on the line you want to take, and making sure you're making decisions.
That is the craziest corner.
Even though it looks daunting and huge, once you're on the trail, you have to focus so much that you almost can't enjoy the view in the same way you can on a YouTube video, which seems a little counterintuitive, but that's the way it is. I love these little traverses on little respite spots, but you have to be careful. That one, if you really blasted up that previous thing and jumped it, you can go off a cliff. I tended to dodge any of these gap jumps that I wasn't confident in the landing. But there's still plenty of fun to be had. You say it's for all skill levels. It's all skill levels of very solid European riders. Definitely nothing like this in terms of just magnitude and Kajabi. Although we did build our first trail with some big switchback roads called Happy Birthday. And actually, since coming home, I haven't ridden Happy Birthday. I'm super stoked to get out there and try it because I think I'll be much more comfortable on the steep switchbacks after practicing this. And it's one of the great things about Verbier. It's so easy to get up and down the mountain.
Okay, bueno.
Yeah?
That you can get a lot of runs in. I mean, easily your arms
Boardwalk
will give out before daylight does. So this trail called the Boardwalk, it's going to start out similar to a lot of the trails at Verbier, a lot of switchbacks and a few jumps if you were inclined to take them like this one. Totally possible, but not for my skill level. So this is going to go down to, I assume, an old glacier field, and that is where you're going to find this amazing boardwalk. People say it's like the North Shore. The one big caveat is you're not supposed to ride this when it's wet. It's super slippery, and that's where I feel like the difference between here and North Shore has to be serious. Every video I've ever seen from North Shore riders, they're riding these wood features in the rain. It just seems so treacherous. And here we had this beautiful road and to drop straight in and have fun with not a whole lot of consequence. So this is the view from the chairlift of Bordabitche. Beautiful little boardwalk. And I love how it snakes and gives you some time on the rocks, but a lot of time on this beautiful winding boardwalk. Wow, this is something that really caused me grief a few years ago. In Kajabi, we've been building some rock garden sort of features. Oftentimes, you have this choice whether to be destructive to the environment or build something serious to it, or ideally, like this trail does, is to use what's naturally available. So there's these great little areas where you pull over rock faces. Boardwalk traverse is amazing, but I love this. There's some natural also. It's just a great way to build a beautiful trail.
Good.
And of course, you're not going to generate as much speed as you would on solid ground. So there's some rollers, but not a jump line on this trail until the very end, which I think I could have done the smaller one, but we chose to stay intact after our first early falls. And then you have a great little fast run here And we'll take that back up to the top and do these 3 trails multiple times. And then below, there's a lot of other fun. There's Blue Eye, there's Soku, Tiger's Fire snakes all the way down the mountain. That's the more elite course, but there are sections that are very rideable. So that's Verbier. Hope you enjoyed this video.